5 steps from ideas to offers. How do you start a conversation with someone about a product, service, offering, deal, whatever it may be, and progress that conversation from just the idea to an actual offer being made? These are the 5 steps that we like to work around. I'm Arthur Petropoulos, managing partner here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market, lower middle market M&A and capital advisory firm helping companies generating $1 million to $10 million in pre-tax earnings or EBITDA, sell their businesses, or secure capital. And so, if on one hand you have an idea, a deal, a product, service, offering, and on the other hand, you have someone that's paying you for that thing, buying the thing, doing the thing, whatever it may be, how do you progress them from one to the other? And it's not just, hey, here's all the information, let me know if you want it. There's an education process, there's a reciprocity, there's a communication, there's a trust-building exercise, and all of these require interactions, right? The whole world, Steve Jobs said, was built by humans, and every element of all businesses are run and operated by humans, and some could argue if that's a good or a bad thing, but a conversation for another existential debate. But nonetheless, relative to the way business is done and those dialogues, how do they progress from ideas to closing? Step number 1 is simply a conversation. Go to someone. There's an addressable audience that may want to do a thing. If you sell window cleaning services, go to people that own lots of windows. Not a pile in their house, but buildings with windows. Right? If you sell a software for people in the distribution space, go to distribution companies and say, hi, we have this offering. We provide this thing. It solves this pain. This is how much it costs, and here's why we think it'd be a good idea for you. And you can do it in the deal business, any kind of thing, but you're presenting an idea to someone. You're walking through the merits of the idea, you're walking through the things it does for somebody else, why it's good, and why there's a value proposition. And so putting that framework in someone's mind is always a good place to start. Now second, is we call it information sharing. If there's an initial kind of, hey, that could be interesting, what else can I learn? Then we say, like in the deal business, we'll sign a non-disclosure agreement, we'll get you in the data room, there's a lot of support information and follow-on information that will help you round out that picture, right? So if initially someone gets 5% of the picture and it's intriguing, you say, well, let's get you up to 85% of the picture, and you get that next kind of critical mass of information. So that's always step number 2. And that either, separating the wheat from the chaff, right, that either gets someone more interested or it gets them less interested. But in either case, you are progressing and testing, and you are not in the friend zone of business. Number 3 are follow-up questions. So if you say 5% is the initial idea, 5 to 85% is that information sharing, someone's going to want to round out the balance of the information and really get, say, now we're going from 85 to 95% of the information, and that's going to be follow-up questions. Hey, in our review of the information, we really wanted to learn more about A, B, C. We wanted to know why X, Y, Z works the way that it does, and that's a good thing for both parties, because to a buyer of something, they are getting the information they need to make a decision. For the seller of something, they are getting confirmation that the buyer has a bona fide interest and is not just kicking tires. So then, to get that 95% to 100%, it's an actual meeting. In this modern world of the interwebs and all of the technology, right, that can be Zoom meetings. They say phone calls, fine, but 2 people looking at each other, people sitting in a room, as much as you could have it, or people around a table eating and talking, that's great, and every derivation therefrom or iteration therefrom gets a little bit not as great. And so if you said on one end of the spectrum, you know, we're all just sitting in a room eating dinner talking about an idea, that's what we would love, that we'd find that to be the most productive meetings. You know, worst case, we're sending carrier pigeons with scrolls to one another, but worst case saying phone calls. But Zoom meetings can work too, particularly when it's international types of situations or national, where there's a lot of interested parties in a lot of different places. But nonetheless, a meeting to walk through things and to get what we call the gristle, right? If you put all of the initial information together, the follow-up information, the follow-up questions and responses, it kind of gets you all of the parts, but how does it all kind of tie together? What's the little sinews, the threads, the needles that bring it all together? That's what meetings can really help round out, because people say, okay, now I know why they did this way. Now I know why they thought about this way, and it's valuable. And so finally, number 5 is distilling all of this, synthesizing all of this, reducing all of this to terms. And so we always say, let's share information, let's discuss, let's iterate that, let's meet, and then let's boil that down into terms. What works? And so if it's a product, service, offering, what terms work? How do we solve the pain? How do we get the good thing? Whatever the result is, and this thing gets that result, let's figure out how to structure that. And so in a deal, if someone needs capital, if someone's selling a business, how do we structure all of these things in a way that's mutually agreeable for both parties? Obviously entails quite a bit of negotiation. However, if all of the other steps along the way were done correctly, you not only have the, call it intellectual synergy of being on the same intellectual wavelength, but also then there's a level of trust in the way the communications have gone, there's some level of rapport, and then that allows for an honest dialogue relative to terms. So, to recap, 5 steps from ideas to agreements. First, a discussion relative to what the offer is. The second, information sharing. The third, follow-up questions. The fourth, a meeting. And the fifth, an honest discussion around terms. It sounds simpler than it is. Most things in life that are good or effective are simple to describe, more challenging to implement. However, if you are trying to map out any kind of business process, getting from an idea to something that is agreed upon by all parties and moving forward, we always like to at least implement this framework. So I hope the week continues to go well for everyone. Keep pushing forward. God bless. See you next time.